Today, we're bringing you something different. Over the past month, our podcast has been packed with powerful conversations, from game-changing strategies to personal stories that will resonate with any creative or entrepreneur. To make it easy for you to access the best insights, we pulled together from the top 5 moments from this month's episodes into one video. In this video, you'll learn about the science of going viral and why trends might be holding you back. We'll also dive into the soft skills every creative needs to thrive, uncover what it really takes to work with high-end clients, and explore the deeper side of personal branding and transformation. All the videos will be linked below, along with at the top of every conversation. Let me know in the comments if you want us to make more videos like this. Let's get started.
People think going viral is luck, but there is a science and a model to it. We spent the past 6 years building one, and we'll break down that model today. But one of the first things that we have to kind of understand is the world that we live in today. So when I started in social media, I started back 2005, back when Friendster and MySpace were the predominant players. You think back then, there's only a few million people on these platforms creating content. Today, we're about to surpass 5 billion people on social media. So that's how many people are producing content on these platforms. And the reality is of how do we get views, how do we get followers, how do we get audience, it's all controlled on the algorithms. These algorithms have a fundamental goal, and it's a business goal. And how do all these platforms make money? They make money by serving ads. So these algorithms are designed solely to find the content they can grab and hold attention as long as possible at scale to keep people on the platforms longer. Because if people don't spend time on their platforms, they go elsewhere, and thus their profit dwindles. So first, understanding the purpose of the algorithm, they want to partner with us. They want to be our best friend. It's not about trying to beat the algorithm or hack the algorithm.
They're incentivized, and their whole business model is built on the premise that they want to serve the best content to the most number of people at scale. So if your content's not being seen, and this might be heartbreaking to some folks, it's just because it's just not that good. Can I say that? Or you're not doing the right things?
Most people have great content.
Okay.
And it's not the content, it's the context of how you're representing that content. But one of the kind of performance drivers or things that really hold people back, especially when we're talking about organic social media, is they're operating off of the old paradigm of create a niche piece of content for a niche audience. The social media algorithms are not really looking for that. They're not going to do the heavy lifting for you. They're just looking at the retention metrics. Are you able to stop the scroll, and how long can you hold their attention for? One of the biggest principles that we talk about in terms of that contextual element to drive success around your content is called the generalist principle. So how do we make your content interesting to the average person while not losing the subtext of our core audience?
What kind of commitment do I need to make? You said the mindset. And what else do I need to do to prepare myself so that if I receive these kinds of strategies or I'm watching this video, that I can commit to doing that?
The way that we look at social media is very different than what most kind of social media agencies or gurus will tell you to do, which is follow the trends. And what is a trend? So a trend is something that's very fleeting. So it typically lasts for like a few weeks, maybe a few months at last. Like the biggest trend that I can think of is like the ice bucket challenge. It's like people don't do the ice bucket challenge today. And the other problem is looking at a trend is 99% of people that do that don't break through with viral success. We only see the people at the top. So the way that we look at it is we don't want people to go and do trends because you're not mastering a skill set. We tell people to look at a format. The formula starts with understanding what a format is versus a trend, because I can guarantee you will not master the art of storytelling and really break through without that fundamental understanding. So once we understand what a format is, now we can start looking at what format do I want to tackle. Most people get it wrong. It's not about chasing trends. It's not about reinventing the wheel each piece of content. It's mastery of a single format. The minute you master a single format, you can print money. And it happens all the time.
Is there anything off the top where you can do this, and that, and it's going to start to perform better outside of what we already talked about?
Well, I think the first part is just the mindset perspective. Do you actually see that social media is going to help your business? Are you willing to invest the time and energy into it? Because I think that there's a lot of people out there that just want to pay $500 to a social media manager and then expect remarkable results. I'm not saying you can't make that, but if you're looking for breakthrough results and for a business in the 2 to 5 million range to really take it to the next level, to add another 5, 10, 15, 20 million, or even beyond, it's going to take some dedication and understanding of it. So that is just a pure mindset thing.
I feel that our best content is almost always with me live with some level of studio audience. It happens because they bring a little bit more spice out of me, and I like that. And I'm more alive, I feel. I have to be on point. Number two is if I have a piece of paper and a marker with the live audience, those videos tend to do really well. Not millions of views, but hundreds of thousands of views. So if I want to make that in a shorter form, more viral piece of content, of the 220 formats that you've uncovered, what format should I be doing?
I kind of want to point something out before I answer the format, because I have watched your content and I've looked at the most viral content versus the content that doesn't reach that level. And I think one of the biggest drivers of your virality is perspective shift. Is when there is a massive perspective shift based upon the audience member's question, that's when there's virality.
Every business has like a client who spends way more money than most. So it's got to be a client that for you makes you go, ooh, right? That feels big. So let's say you're a coach or a consultant. Most clients spend $5,000. This would be someone spending 25 to 50 grand.
So here's the shocking thing that a lot of people don't realize. They think, okay, number one, when you have a really big client, you have to do totally different things. Not necessarily true. And and that the other thing is that they're going to be really high maintenance. They're going to nitpick every little thing. Completely the opposite. So let's dispel that myth first, because although the idea is very attractive to our listeners, that having a big client that's going to spend 3 to 5 or even 10x of what you normally get, that would just cause their blood pressure to go up because of those fears. But let's dispel that myth first.
My experience with super high-end clients is that they're completely reasonable. Small things mean a big deal to them. And actually, their ability to get a return on investment is normally so high that even just doing a small thing well will actually get them return on investment, even though they've spent so much money. So that probably is a key difference, that, when you're working with a small client where for them 20 grand is a big deal, you're going to have a situation where they're going to micromanage you. They're going to be really freaking out. And also, the underlying business that they have is probably so small that even if you do an incredible job, even if you double their business, it may not even be profitable.
The service that you provide, depending on who's the buyer and the impact it has on their life and their business, can mean a world of difference in terms of what they're willing to pay.
From working with thousands of businesses, the businesses that really take off and really become profitable and really end up selling for millions and delivering huge amounts of financial rewards to the founder, they solve a problem for a client who likes to throw money at their problems, not time at their problems. And that's a real distinction, because I see people, I was talking to some young guys the other day, they're like, oh, we're going to work with students who are struggling to get this. I'm like, these are people who like to throw time at problems. They don't like to throw money at problems. They don't have enough money to throw at problems. And then I talked to an IT services company that works with the biggest brands in the world, and they deliver an IT service that these brands need. And these brands don't want to throw any time at that problem. They just want to pay for the solution and just get it done. So there is a huge distinction here that a high-end client fits that description. They really just want to throw some money at a problem and get the problem solved and get it done. They don't like throwing time at their problems. So that's one of the very clear reasons as to why they're a good client.
That should be a warning signal for some people, and you may disagree with me on this, but while designers love to work with nonprofits, like real nonprofits, like there's no money at all, not like the fake nonprofit, which is a whole different classification, or unfunded startups, because all they got is time. They don't have money. They can't throw money at it, but they just love to go there, and they find themselves having to pull like tooth and nail to get some money from them, and then they're they like to micromanage everything.
Yeah. Well, they've got no other tool. In the lead up to meeting with a high-end client, you want to position yourself as what we call a key person of influence. There's a harsh piece of truth that I share with a lot of people around this idea that when you talk to people, they judge you, and they're putting you in one of 3 buckets. They're saying, this is a newbie who needs more experience. This is a worker bee who has an hourly rate that is in line with everyone else's hourly rate. Key person of influence typically is someone who says, we've won awards, we've got a niche, we've got something that we're super specialized in, we're considered to be the best at this particular very narrow thing. I've written a book on it, or I've written created content about it. I'm followed for this. I've got followers on social media. So these are the types of things that point towards you being the key person of influence for X, Y, and Z. When it comes to blank, there's only a few names that keep coming up, mine included. The thing about a key person of influence is that they're committed to changing someone's future state. That if they don't show up, something's not going to happen. They know that their job in the world is bending reality. They bend reality towards a different outcome that wouldn't have happened had they not been in the room. So when we discover that we're a key person of influence, it's actually a discovery of our ability to bend reality. And to say, hey, when I'm in the room, this project goes really well. And if I wasn't here, it would not go that well, right? I know that anyone else can get you a 30% uplift. I can get you a 300% uplift because I bend reality that way for this particular thing. And I can't bend reality for everything, but I can bend reality for that.
That sounds wonderful, but I know the people listening to this are going to say, well, easy for Daniel to say, easy for Chris to apply, but what about me? Maybe I'm not even close to that. Does that mean I'm excluded from being considered this way?
It's crazy to think that what a brand will spend on a more legacy style commercial, some content creators are getting paid the same amount just to make vertical selfie videos talking about a product. I was like, that can't be real. And then I saw it and I was like, oh my God, it's real. So, what pushed me to do it was knowing that it was real, knowing that I had my back pushed up against a wall. A lot of people were saying, you should give it a shot. You literally have nothing much left to lose. And I went for it.
I'm an introvert. I don't know. Are you an introvert?
I don't like being outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to get out of your own skin to go to an event. And then you have to do something that's even harder than going outside, which is you have to go talk to people. And then you have to convince them to work with you.
Talent is the base level, right? It sounds cliche, it sounds obvious, but we're all capable of doing great things.
Yeah.
The thing that will separate us from everybody is our soft skills. Like the hard skills is making it. The soft skills is how easy of a person are you to work with? Are you moldable for the job? It's just the grittiness that it takes to work in this field. And all of those things, they will vet you on. Whether it's a conversation at the bar or a video conference call, and showing up understanding that I need to remove my ego from this as just a creative to I am just a cog in the entire machine has helped me navigate that whole convincing process. Because at the end of the day, it is a job. If we want to go create art, we should go create art and express ourselves freely by our own passion projects. But if you're working for Nike and they have this big brand campaign they want you to direct, you can't just come in there making this commercial that doesn't feel like a Nike commercial. Like it just doesn't work that way. I mean, there are bits of you that you should inject and can inject. But overall, like I know a lot of creatives get frustrated that they're told, bring your creative approach to this, and then we need to make revisions on revisions. It's just understanding that I need to deliver for the brand more than I need to deliver for myself. And if I want to deliver for myself, I have my own passion projects for that.
A lot of times people think that the way you get business is maybe you saw something on TV and you act like that. That's not the way it's done.
Right.
It came from a place of genuine appreciation and saying, I know enough about what you're doing. And if invited to that dialogue, you're like, here's a couple of things I've noticed, and letting that play out the way it plays out.
Just doing it in a way where you're not attacking what this brand or artist is already doing. It's like just letting him know, like, hey, like in this music video, I saw you did this, but how about like next time, let's try this idea. Let me know what you think about it. And it just wouldn't be invasive. And I think that's what a lot of us freelancers should understand too. Like, we have the talent and skill that we've done through our own art to get to this place, to make it a profession. And when it becomes a profession, like our whole job is really to serve, whether it's an album cover, whether it's a music video or a commercial to sell pasta, we're serving something through our skill.
Yeah.
And I let that be known. I let it be apparent. Like, I want to help make a great product.
There seems to be a high effort into making a very specific type of film. Tell me a little bit about your creative process and how you actually pull these things off.
My creative process, A to Z, starts with, it's the ideation process. A lot of that comes from whether it's driving or listening to music, I'm drawn to a feeling, and if this song invokes a feeling or a thought, I write it down. Then I'll usually pick a song to write to, like an instrumental that I like. I'll pick like a Jay-Z song or something. I'll write my concept to that beat. Like a rapper,
Yes.
embarrassingly enough.
Hey,
like
it's
the
all
video
coming
you've
together.
seen.
It's coming right together,
'cause
yeah.
like I said in the beginning, it's it all stems from music. I'll write my script to it, and then I'll put the shots to it. Basically, my edit is done before I go out and shoot anything, which is something I call the paper edit.
Yeah.
And then I'll go out, I'll do my shoot day, come back, ingest the footage, and I just drag the song in, which I know exactly what parts of the song I'm gonna use. And it's just plug and play from there.
I got paid $140,000 to work with a tech company. And it was kind of not like a selfie video, but it was done on my iPhone.
Wow.
I edited it myself. And I'm thinking back in the day, they'd pay you $100,000 for a music video.
An entire music video.
And you spend most of the money, if not all of it, on producing it.
As a director, you only get 10%, and you cut into that trying to make it a better product.
What kind of dream world are we living in? And I understand this because I've been in the business for a long time. There's the budget to produce the video or commercial, and then there's the media buy. So they're actually getting a huge bargain because what they're doing is they're buying not only your production services, but they're buying your distribution.
Yeah.
So the larger your following, the larger the engagement, the viewership, that's what they're buying. So they're getting actually a great deal. So more brands should support artists, and they're going to have a much more effective delivery vehicle for someone that people trust and like, and the message is authentic.
We started out with 2 laptops, 4 desks, and an idea that design wouldn't be what we make. Design is what we would make possible. That put the emphasis not on the artifacts, but on the outcome and on the action that designers could have on creating the future. In effect, what we were doing is designers are wizards. We're able to kind of rehearse the future before it arrives. And the way that we would say it is there's really no such thing as the future. What there are many futures all in competition with each other. And your job is to fight for the one future that you believe in. And then design is the bridge that helps you get to that future. Where do we get our bearings before we jump into the future? What we decided to do was to completely blow up the old business model. What we decided to do is reimagine basically the foundations of the business. What we did is we looked back at what we had done most successfully over the previous 16 years. We tried to find what that pattern was. And we doubled down on 3 things. The first was design is not what it looks like. Design is what it does and how it behaves. And then what it looks like is a result of what it does and what it behaves. The second thing is that brand is not visuality. Brand is not the typeface. Brand is not the color. Brand is not the logo. Brand is not the design system. Brand is not the interface, look and feel. What brand is differentiation. And differentiation is about change. And differentiation is about making sure you do not become a commodity. The third thing we realized is that companies, if they're not a step ahead of the culture, are going to be behind the culture. Therefore, companies always have to change. Therefore, companies always have to transform. We realized that the business that we were in wasn't the graphic design business, wasn't the communications business, wasn't the branding business. The business that we were actually in was in the transformation business and helping companies transform so they could build a better future that was a step ahead of the culture. Then we had a fourth realization coming out of it, which was our most successful case studies in terms of design were also our most successful case studies in terms of business. Like became very well known for our work with Spotify. It was celebrated as a great sort of creative and design achievement and branding achievement. It also helped Spotify take off.
As a younger person, I underestimated the power of language and words. I'm not that stupid anymore. Can you talk to us philosophically, intellectually about the potency of the words? When you find the right words in the correct sequence, it can unlock that very strong emotional response from this powerful CEO.
Words create worlds. The power of language to create and paint a picture of the future that is grounded in understanding of where the business has been, where it is, and where it needs to go. Language that identifies what is, what must be, and language that identifies what could be. In your articulation of a company's future, you hit those 3 things, and you help people to understand what future it is that they're fighting for. It opens up enormous wells of trust because people say, you've listened to me, and you've heard me, and you've given me a map that I never thought I would be able to get. There's this quote the people in design use often this. Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge, right? You've heard that. But then you have to ask the next question. Well, what's more important than imagination? What's more important than imagination is craft. Can you make it? Can you create it? Can you animate it? Can you ship it? Can you write it? And the craft of writing is actually more important than imagination itself. Imagination is easy in some industries. They go, I've got a good idea. I wake up like you do. Like anyone who's listening to you right now, we have 100 good ideas hit us during the course of the day. It's not about the big idea. It's about the big craft. Can you make it real? And that's what language is about. Do you know the difference between the right word and the wrong word? And I've seen it in a room. I've seen it open up the head of a CEO, and I've seen it make a CEO cry. And I go, holy shit, I didn't think that was possible. That's the power of real language. The power of real language is not to go out and say, we're connected, and this is a human brand, and we're going to be bold and relevant and innovative. Kill me now. I mean, if I see these interchangeable brand decks, they're all the same. Everyone has bold, relevant, innovative. They're interchangeable. So the power of language to create not only meaning, but more importantly, in terms of brand differentiation, at this point where we stuck dynamite in our old business model. The branding industry is about to go through two things are about to happen, and why I think the old branding industry, the way you knew it, is dead. It's gone.
Personal branding for me is a process of discovering who you are and getting in touch with that and healing from trauma that we don't even understand we have. So for you, it's clearly not a strategy just to get more clients, expand your marketing, but a deeper process of self-discovery. I want to know from you, your personal experience, how did you come to this realization? You personally, Christo.
I don't think we should pursue personal branding if you believe in the thesis to get clients at all. This is the wrong thing to do. And it kind of ties closely to my perspective on why we post content on social media. Almost everybody that I know posts content on social media as a thinly disguised advertisement for their business, for their services and products. And it just kind of makes us all cringe. Like, why are you posting that? And even if you lead with 80% value and at that last little 20%, you kind of ask me for something, you kind of burn all the goodwill. So I'm really a big believer or proponent for this generosity kind of marketing where you just give lots and lots of value. And when you're ready to ask, just ask, and you don't have to worry about hiding it in something. We don't have to use this Trojan horse concept, okay? I think 98% of creators that you see on the internet are all fake. They're all fake. They're all building a lie. They've lied to themselves, they've lied to you, and you're bought into it.
You're getting sold. No, I follow some people that I feel are very genuine, and sometimes I'm like, are you just feeding me a line so I can buy your product because there's a CTA in this video?
Well, every time there's a CTA, you have to ask yourself, is this real?
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself. I'm not saying 98% of people are fake, but 98% of the people online are completely fake. When we're building our companies, we like to edit for sensationalism or for convenience of knowing who they are. There are certain health and fitness gurus who purportedly sold their companies for a certain dollar amount, but they didn't actually sell their company for that amount. They sold it for a portion of that amount, therefore valuating it at a certain price, and then they just claim that's what I sold it for. And if you actually read their own story told by themselves at the end of the book, you'll see that they didn't actually sell it for that amount. But who really cares? Because that number sounds really sexy. I always think every creator that's out there is one or two bad PR pieces away from going to jail for lying, for fraud, or being sued in court. It's because people feel the need to put on a certain persona to be accepted, to be liked, to be respected and admired. And I'm just sick of it. I see lots of people either posting content on social or speaking on stages, writing books on this thing about personal branding. I think they know nothing about personal branding. Personal branding has become a cultural zeitgeist. It's become like a word lightning rod that if you use, all of a sudden everything you say has more gravitas because it's very attractive to everybody. Few of us can build a brand. All of us have a personal brand. So they're using this new label to put lipstick on a pig. They're teaching you about how to do marketing funnels, sales strategies, on how to position things in a marketing sense. And I say it's all hogwash because who the hell are you? You're just packaging things up. Call it packaging. I don't believe in any of this stuff because how can you go around telling people who you are and you've got a strong personal brand when you don't know who you are and you don't know what makes you you. That you still have unresolved childhood trauma, that you're reacting and responding to things in a way to mask your insecurities and the hurt that you felt. And I feel bad for you. The thing that I want people to understand about personal branding is when you show up as you in all your glory, the things that you're proud to tell people about, your accomplishments and the hard work or the perseverance you've had, the things you've had to overcome as a human being, and you talk about things you want no one to hear about, the things that you would be embarrassed if people talked about, then now for the first time, I think you're starting to show up as a real person.
There was a creator in the digital marketing space, and she was saying the opposite of what you're saying. I actually do not show up vulnerable anymore. I've been showing up vulnerable, and it's been weaponized against me. And it's actually triggered me, and it's actually brought up old things for me. And it didn't really move the needle forward from a business standpoint.
So what this person did was show up and present their vulnerability as a means to get more of an audience. Wrong already, okay? Because that's like you or me saying, poor me, I've struggled so much in my life. Don't you feel so bad for me? That is like, I hate to say it, there's probably a better expression. It's like pity porn. Pity me. And let's all get together and share like how the world has been so unfair to us. The kind of vulnerability that I'm talking about is I've accepted that I have certain shortcomings. I've healed from it. And more importantly, I've grown from it.